This is episode 7 of Author Audience.
Welcome to the Author Audience Show, the podcast that helps you reach more people with your message. Create a book, connect with your audience, change lives. Here's your host, Shelly Hitz.
Welcome to Author Audience, where I'm on a mission to help you reach more people with your message. It's time to let your light shine. Today, I'm rolling out the red carpet and inviting you to join me as I share about planning a book launch. My name is Shelly Hitz, and recently I finished the print version of my book, Procrastination to Publication. The first 5 episodes of my podcast were all about the content in that book, but if you prefer a print book, something to hold in your hands, you can check it out. It's on Amazon.com. However, the primary reason I had that book printed in print format was for marketing reasons, to have a business card people won't throw away. However, most of the time when I publish a new book, I have a plan because I want to do a specific book launch. And in this episode, I'm going to share more with you about what that may entail and some questions that you should ask. So I believe you have a God-given message to share with the world. However, once you publish your book, if no one knows about it, it won't have any impact. If you're standing in front of an empty auditorium, your message isn't going to impact anyone. So I want you to reach as many people as you can with your book. And part of that is having a successful book launch. So the question is, are you ready to shine? It's time for this week's Center Stage Spotlight Training. This is where I share training and strategies to help you grow your business or ministry through writing and publishing books, marketing online, and creating products and services to sell on the back end. I'm not just about the books, but so much more. I'm here to connect you with your audience in the best way possible. Today's podcast is episode 7, titled The Top 4 Questions Authors Should Ask When Planning a Book Launch. I know this is going to bring you one step closer to getting your message to more people, so be prepared to shine. The first question you should ask when planning a book launch is, what is my primary goal? I have so many authors that ask me, what should I do for my book launch? How should I plan my book launch? What should I include? What should I do? And I ask them, the first question I ask them is, what is your primary goal? Because there's always many goals. And you could say, I want to reach all of these goals. I want to reach bestseller status and be able to put in my bio that I'm a best-selling author. I want to have book sales, show me the money. And I want to grow my email list. I want to grow my business through my book. And you may say, Shelly, I want all those goals. However, I want you to tell me, what is the one primary goal for your book launch? Because if you're trying to do everything, sometimes you'll never reach anything with your goals. However, if your goal is bestseller status, there's a very specific way you can achieve that. If your goal is book sales, you're probably going to have to do a lot of work to really make sure that you make back your return on investment of time and your return on investment in your book to make sure you are getting your goal. If your goal is to grow your email list, then there's specific strategies that you could consider. So right now, if you're not driving, or if you're not somewhere where you're unable to write something down, but I want you to write down for your upcoming book launch. If you have a book launch coming up, what is your primary goal? Is it bestseller status? Is it book sales? Or is it growing your email list? Or maybe it's something else. Write that down right now so that you can know what your goal is. The second question I believe authors should ask when planning a book launch is, how far in advance do I need to plan? Because sometimes you get in the moment and you think, okay, I'm ready to go. I'm publishing my book. Let's do this. And if you're following my proven system in authoraudienceacademy.com, you may be publishing quality books fast. And so you may not be thinking far and ahead in advance enough to really plan for your book launch. So I want you to think, for most book launches, you need to start thinking about it and start planning at least 6 weeks in advance. This gives you time to write out your social media post, to write out sample emails or your emails you'll send to your list, to plan a blog tour or whatever you're going to do. Next week, in next week's episode, we're going to talk about 7 different book launch events you can plan. So definitely don't miss that episode. But if you're planning a really big launch, you may need up to 6 months in advance for all the details. It can be really detailed. And however, sometimes you just go with the flow. For example, in 2012, I published a book, 21 Days of Gratitude Challenge. It's now called The Gratitude Journal. When I was getting ready to release that book, to be honest, I didn't even plan on publishing it. It was just a personal journal, a personal challenge I felt like God asked me to go through. And then I ended up publishing it. And so sometimes you may have a book like that, and last minute, I felt like God gave me an idea to do a group promotion for a free day, and so I just organized it last minute, 1 week in advance. I only had 1 week to plan this launch. It was one of the most successful launches I've ever done, and I just really, truly believe it's because God blessed it. So sometimes you don't need months and months and months of planning. But just know in advance, like these are some questions to ask yourself and say, okay, how far in advance do I need to plan? Because if you're getting ready to launch a book, you're getting ready to publish a book, you may need to start doing some planning for your launch as you're finishing the publishing process. Question number 3 is, how can I make my first 30 days count? Did you guys know that there is something called hot new releases on Amazon? Yes, there's a specific list on Amazon, and I will include the link to it in the show notes. However, you can also just Google hot new releases on Kindle or on Amazon, and you'll find it there as well. But there's a specific list, and your book is eligible for that list the first 30 days. So you want to be able to build momentum. And you want to be able to get up on that list and get as high as possible on that list. So if you publish your book and then you don't have a launch until 45 days later, you've pretty much missed that window of opportunity. So this is something to really be aware of when you're launching a book, that those first 30 days are really crucial. And you want to give them a reason to buy now. So in those first 30 days in your book launch, give them a reason. So you might want to lower your price for a certain period of time. Maybe it's 2 or 3 days. Maybe it's a week. Maybe you will offer bonuses for those who buy during your launch. And I'll go into more detail into some ideas next week on next week's episode. But that's something else to consider. Get creative and give them a reason to buy during those first 30 days so you can get up on that hot new releases list, get more exposure, and potentially get more momentum on Amazon and have Amazon be promoting for you. The 4th question authors should ask when planning a book launch is, do I want to have my book for sale with pre-orders? I have not done this very often, but I'm considering doing this for my upcoming book, Broken Crayons Still Color, because I've already talked a lot about the book. I have a guest blog post that I'm not sure if it's going to be accepted, but if it is, it talks about that book. And so I'm just thinking I'd like to have the book out there and up and available for pre-order. And so there's a couple different ways to do it. And this is something just to consider and to ask when you're planning your book launch. On KDP, you now have the opportunity to pre-order, set up your book for pre-order up to 90 days in advance. I did ask KDP's support, and they said you can change your date one time. However, you can only change it once. So let's say you set your date for 90 days in advance, but you get your book done earlier. I was thinking about that. What if I got my book done earlier than that 90 days? Well, then you can move it up once, but you can only change it once. Then you need to upload your file at least 10 days in advance. So you need to really plan into that. Make sure you leave cushion. And I asked them, do the sales count towards bestseller status the day your book launches? And they told me, yes, it does. Now, I've heard conflicting things on this, but I asked KDP support directly, and they said the pre-order sales do count for your bestseller status the day it releases. So those are just a few little things about KDP. Now, if you would want to put a print book for pre-sale, there are two ways you could do that. You could do it on your own website. You just set up a sales page, take orders via your payment processor, and let your customers know when the orders will be shipped. And it's a really cool way to do it, to build buzz, and you can easily do that. I've seen several of my colleagues do that. You can also do it through Amazon Advantage, so that's for sale on Amazon, both in Kindle and print versions. And this is an option that my colleague Eric Vanderhoek talks about a lot, and he gives a step-by-step tutorial on how to do this. It's with print books, and you actually fulfill the orders, or your publisher can fulfill those orders, but as a self-published author, we usually fulfill those orders. And Eric actually gives the step-by-step instructions on how to do this in the book, Indie Author's Guide to Book Marketing Success. But I've given you this excerpt as a PDF for free as an opt-in for this episode. So you can download this and get the step-by-step instructions simply by signing up at authoraudience.com/7. There's a place to sign up for that, and that way you can get all of those step-by-step instructions. It's just too much to include in this podcast. The pros of doing a print pre-order is that you can sell autographed copies and include other marketing materials in your books. You can also earn more royalties because if you're ordering your books directly from CreateSpace or Ingram Spark instead of them being sold through Amazon, you will earn more royalties that way. And so if your goal is to really earn more income from your book launch, that may be an option. Now, the cons, of course, is that you have to do the work of the shipping and handling. It's pretty annoying. I mean, you have to do all of the labels, you have to figure it out, you have to just do all of the administrative stuff. And your sales don't count towards your bestseller rank on Amazon. So it's not going to boost your bestseller rank on Amazon. And so that's something to consider as well. However, pre-orders, definitely a great way to build buzz and to be able to start marketing your book early. So those are the 4 questions that authors should ask when planning a book launch. Make sure to listen next week as I talk about the 7 different book launch events that you can consider when you're planning your book launch. Again, this is Shelly Hitz from authoraudience.com, helping you reach more people with your message.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Author Audience Show. Connect with us online at authoraudience.com, where you'll find all the resources mentioned in today's episode. While you're there, grab Shelly's free video training on how to write and publish your book using her 6-step ascent method. Join us again next week to learn how to reach your audience with your message.